Painting in the art room.
When I tell a table that it's time to get your smocks, you will come over to here and find the color that matches your table color. You'll grab a smock, slip it over your head. This can be adjusted, so if you're smaller, you can pull this strap and it will go tighter around your neck, but I am not smaller, so I'm going to pull it looser. And then there are 2 strings on the side. If you can do it yourself, tie on the back just by making a bow. These smocks are a little small for me, since they're children's smocks. If you can't do this yourself, ask a neighbor for help. Please do not touch these smocks without permission. Now you're ready to paint. You're putting on your smock. I know it can be hard to tie a bow, so you can ask a neighbor for help, but sometimes we don't have time for that, and I just want you to quickly get your smock on. So what that looks like is making an X, going through the hole and pulling. You don't need to do the full bow, just the X is usually enough to keep your smock on in place. We also shouldn't be putting our smock on over here. It gets really crowded over here, so what I need you to do is get your smock off of your hook, then take it to your table and put it on at your table. That way I can send more tables up to get their smocks and there's not a big crowd.
This table is an example of what not to do in the art room. They are painting on their faces, on the table, on each other's paintings, on the back of their paintings. They will have a lot to clean up. At this table, 3 of them are working nicely. However, one of them is off of their messy mat and using tools inappropriately. This affects everybody else at the table. At this table, everyone is working nicely on their messy mats, using their tools appropriately. They will have an easy time with cleanup. Using the drying rack. This student is having a hard time fitting her artwork into the drying rack because it's balled up. This student isn't using their messy mat to put their artwork on the drying rack, and so it is about to fall off. This student touched another student's artwork. Another student stuck their messy mat on sideways so it doesn't fit and sticks out. This student's doing it correctly, going as low as she can go. However, the student behind her has stepped too close and now has ended up with painting on her shirt. This is something we want to avoid. These students are using the drying rack correctly. Unfortunately, they are having to be careful to avoid the paint on the floor. This student is being harassed by the student that is messy and covered in paint. She needs to keep her hands and body parts to herself and respect others' personal space. Again, students using the drying rack correctly, but being affected by the paint on the floor.
When you're taking your artwork to the drying rack, you wait patiently in line on the purple line, holding your messy mat like a cafeteria tray, your hands on both sides and your artwork flat. We are waiting patiently and quietly in line for our turn. There shouldn't be anybody between the stop line and the drying rack. So when it's my turn to go next, I stop at the stop bar while somebody's at the drying rack. Once they move out of the way, then I can step forward and the person behind me is stopping at the stop line too. I'm gonna go as low as I can to the empty slot. I don't need to lift these bars or move them at all. I just slide straight in, make sure that my board fits, and then I stand up and walk out of the way and go wash my hands. But this drying rack is not quite as friendly as the other one. This one has shelves that move but they're a little tricky to work. So we also want to start as low as we can go for this one. And if we lift up, the shelves are supposed to stay. So when you put your artwork in, you slide it in, but you can't just, well, normally, you can't just push down on the shelf. It shouldn't go anywhere. The only way to get it to go down is to pull it out towards you. Sometimes you have to pull up and out, and then it should go down by itself. And then you have the next person can put their artwork in, pull up and out, you'll hear a click, and then it will go down. You always want to make sure that you put your artwork in and then lower the shelf for the next person, because the next person will have their hands full and won't be able to do it all by themselves.
Washing hands in the art room. When standing in line, you need to keep your hands to yourself and respect others' personal space. We should not be cutting in line. We should not be pushing in line. This is all very dangerous. Do not cut to the front of the line. When you're washing your hands, do not use the scrub brush that is meant for washing art supplies. You should only get 1 pump of soap, not this much. Make sure that when you are done washing your hands, you use paper towels to dry your hands. Don't shake off the water and spray everybody. Only use a step stool if you need one. This footage of the student washing their hands has been fast forwarded, yet it is still taking her forever. You are not here to get a manicure and get every last bit of paint off of your skin. Some of it will have to be done when you go home to bathe. We are here to quickly wash our hands and move along to cleaning the rest of the art room. Just because you put soap on your hands doesn't mean that your hands are going to automatically get cleaned. You have to actually scrub the soap on. You can't immediately rinse it. Also, the student got way too much soap. It's important that we each do our part to save the planet's resources. This student is being wasteful by getting way too many paper towels. However, here, she doesn't have enough, and her hands aren't dry. Please do not leave your paper towels in the sink. It clogs the drain and is disgusting. Please do not leave your paper towels on the floor. They should go in the trash. Save your basketball skills for the gym. It doesn't belong in the art room. Don't try to skip the lines and use hand sanitizer. It doesn't work.
We have messy hands. We need to wash them at the sink. If we're waiting in line, we need to make sure that we wait for the person in front of us to leave, and then we come up. Turn the water on first. Get your hands wet. 1 pump of soap should be enough. Scrub the soap on the front and back of your hands and in between your fingers. You need to do this quickly because there are a lot of people in line waiting behind you. Usually you can't just rinse, you continue to scrub while rinsing. When you're done, turn the water off. If there are people still waiting in line behind you, you can leave the water running and step out of the way. You need the paper towels to touch the counter. That should be enough. Tear it off and dry your hands. Walk to the trash can, place it in the trash, and then go back to your table to continue cleaning the room. After you've washed your hands, come back over here, take off your smock, and hang it back up on the correct hook. Then you can go to your table, Patty paw to show me you're ready for a sponge.
Cleaning up the art room.
This is tempera paint, the kind of paint that is already wet and in a tray like this, and it's thick. You do not need to wash these brushes. This kind of paint goes in the hot tub. They go in bristle side down, they soak there. I will clean those up later. However, sometimes we do watercolor paint. That's when we use the paint palette and we just use water. These do need to be rinsed, and that's something that you can easily do. You dump out the dirty water in the sink, rinse the cup, swirl it, dump it, cups get stacked. Brushes, they only need a quick rinse, and then those get stacked, rinse the side up, back in their cup.
When cleaning up trays of paint, don't simply stack them. They will fall into each other. Make sure that you offset them so that they rest on top of each other.
When you're putting your texture tool trays away, you don't want to stack them into each other because they're going to be all messy with paint. So you want to make sure that you stack them alternating so that they don't fall in. We should only go 3 high, otherwise it gets too tall. This is what it should look like. Once everything is off of your table, including paint, texture trays, any of those things, there's nothing on your table, you stand with your patty paw, show me you are ready for a sponge. I will come over, hand you the sponge. You will wipe your spot in front of you and pass it to your neighbor. Next person washes their spot. And then pass it to a neighbor. If you find that as you are cleaning, it's making a bigger mess, you can always flip the sponge and use the clean side on the back. Your table doesn't have to be perfectly clean. I'm just looking for the big chunks of paint to be gone. Last person with the sponge takes it over to the sink, washes it out, squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go, squeeze, let go. I can tell it's clean once the water starts running clear. I squeeze it out. Make sure you're squeezing, that you're not twisting because that can tear the sponge. Once you're done, it goes back in the sponge tub and you can go back to your table. Show me you are ready to go. If your table has one area that's much messier than the rest, for example, if one person isn't staying on their messy mat but everybody else is, that area should be the last place washed. So you should wash all other areas, wash, pass, wash, pass, wash, pass, and then the messy spot is last. That way the paint doesn't get spread everywhere across the table. So as I'm washing, it's still not quite getting cleaned up, I can flip. If it's still not quite getting cleaned up, then you can go to the sink, wash your sponge, and come back again for one more cleaning of your table.
Thank you to all the teachers willing to get messy.
I didn't hear the boop boop. It went boop boop. I didn't hear it. Well, it went it. When you're putting your texture tool trays.
Texture tool trays?
Say that 3 times fast.
Texture tool trays, texture tool trays, texture tool trays.
Now let's make a mess and clean it up.